90% of high ticket businesses like coaching, consulting, and agencies waste money on leads that never really buy. So we've helped tons of partners double their closing rate by fixing one simple thing: lead quality, not just quantity. I'm Jahan from Upgrade Profits, and in the next 10 minutes, I'll show you how chasing more leads is actually killing your high ticket business. If you're selling anything over $3,000, this will save you thousands of dollars in wasted ad spend. And I've built multiple 7-figure businesses with this exact same system. Today, I have Samin here as well. He used this to build his agency to over $40,000 per month in new revenue. Samin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Samin. I founded this company called AI Answers, and what we do with this is essentially we create AI setters that have an omnichannel presence. So we make sure we're automating the whole. You have a lead, and the lead needs to be booked into a meeting. All of that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, we've actually taken some of the stuff from your system, and it works really well. Like, not even close, night and day difference of a lot of the AI stuff we have in place. I've seen everything that we did before. We added your systems in, and it was able to automate a lot more of it. And a lot of the appointment setting is much more automated too, especially with the new prompting we added in there recently.
Yeah, it's actually working out pretty well. So I'm like excited to launch this into like full gear and see like the actual extent we can take this to.
I think it's going to replace, from what I've seen so far, it's by far better than anything in the market. And I think nothing even comes close as of right now.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here's the deal. If you sell anything over $3,000, stop what you're doing and pay attention. I see the same mistake over and over. Consultants and coaches, they chase the wrong type of leads, then wondering why they can't make a sale. So, I mean, what's like the biggest misconception that you've seen about leads?
Honestly, the thing is, what is a lead, right? It's sometimes you have to think about like a lead is kind of useless if they're not qualified. Like lead is essentially an interested person in what you're selling, but there is so much. It can be so much deeper in the problem awareness funnel that it really matters where you're kind of trying to sell at. So, for example, like for us, what I used to think is that, hey, I have to target like the top of funnel when for my, let's say, AI agency, when we were selling like the appointment setters. The top of funnel, the problem is we have to educate these people into why they would even need an appointment setter. Why would it even be important? Whereas when we kind of targeted people that are already educated and already have the pain of the problem, and we don't have to spend all that time educating them about why this is important for your business and how this would work, our sales kind of like shot up just because we were dealing with people that are more educated, and although it's a smaller amount.
That makes sense. That completely makes sense. And let's go a little bit more into that. So I know you mainly help agencies, and you have an agency as well. We help mainly coaches and consultants. What would you say from the agency side that you've noticed is different from other industries as a whole?
I guess, well, when you say industry and agency, what do you mean? Is it like there's different business models, right? So for example, there's like a low touch SaaS. You could have like an agency, or you can have, I don't know, like a full service, something like that. So there's done with you, done for you. There's a lot of like, or even like info products. That's one more. So what kind of industry did you mean by that?
I guess, let me rephrase the question. So when we're talking about the agencies that you specifically help compared to the other types of industries you've helped in the past, because I know you used to do real estate stuff as well, right? Yeah. So what's the differences that you've noticed specifically for agencies? What are like the biggest things that they face compared to other industries that they usually don't realize?
Yeah, so I guess it's how you get your leads and what you're trying to do is very important. And to dive deeper, this is two stark examples. But for example, real estate, how they do marketing is very specifically like by just couple different methods. So one of them will be they'll just cold call people in their area. They'll send them direct mail. They'll like run ads to web forms. These are some ways they do marketing, right? They can't really they don't need that much trust behind it because they're just pretty much just buying and selling a house that they already own or are attached to.
Right.
Whereas with the agency, it's a completely different paradigm in which kind of there's so many ways to get the same results that the agency will help you do. So you kind of need to know the agency, you need to like them and trust them. And the problem becomes, how do you do that? And what I've noticed is the people that have been doing organic content and actually showing case studies and their expertise to people through organic content, those are the agencies that everyone knows, likes, and trusts more, which means they make more money, which means everything's a lot easier. Even your sales process is significantly easier because they come in pre-educated.
That completely makes sense. That actually, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that with a few friends of mine and stuff too that face similar problems. Like when it comes to agencies, I'd say there's similar problems to coaches and consultants, but it's a little bit different. So it's like, because agencies, they usually have a specific offer or what they're providing, right? But it's how do you connect that offer to the audience that's actually trying to get help with solving that specific problem that they solve. And then on the other side with like coaches and consultants, I've noticed a lot of coaches and consultants, they just don't know what they're selling. They're like, so they have an idea of it. It's like, hey, I helped this person get this result, but how do you do it? What do you have to back it up? Similar to what you were saying with building the trust. That part is very similar with coaching and consultants too. But I'd say the specific offer and how you frame that offer and how you present that offer and show people you're going to get them a specific result is the harder part when it comes to coaching and consulting. So I'd say the lead itself, the type of lead that you're looking for is different depending on the industry, depending on the audience and everything. But agencies, I've noticed all agencies, just like you were saying, they're going to have to focus on different problems than coaches and consultants will. Coaches and consultants very, very similar to each other. Agencies are a little bit different because they have a different business model, different kind of offer.
Yeah, I guess it always depends on like who it is you're serving at the end and your fulfillment model.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what happens with having a different type of business. Like a consultant or a coach has a different type of business model than an agency, so it makes sense. So let's see, going more into what is a lead. A lot of people think a lead is just someone that's on a list that you're able to reach out to. In reality, a lead is not just someone that downloaded a free PDF. That's not a lead. That's just like a random person on your list in reality. A real lead for a high ticket is pretty simple. They have money to spend. They have a problem you want to solve. They want to solve it now, and they can make the decision without asking every other person that they know. So everything else is just some tire kicker that's wasting your time. These people, they might make your list look bigger, but they don't really put money in your bank account. So I guess in this case, I mean, what's in your experience, what's the percentage of people, what percentage of people's leads are actually just wasting their time?
I think, I guess it also depends on like how you're doing marketing. And even more so let's say you're doing marketing with ads per se, right? I would imagine because companies like Google, Facebook, they're so dialed in, what they can do is they can literally find the person your ad is trying to target. For example, if you're trying to make an ad about loan officers, targeting loan officers, it'll probably, the AI is smart enough to show them loan officers that video. Whereas it's a little different when you're trying to go and do organic. There it's kind of more so a shotgun approach normally when people go on browse, because if you title your video something like loan officers what's this, you'll probably get like 10 views. And YouTube won't push your views, which means the effort you spend doing that organic kind of doesn't translate. So when you're doing organic, it is a lot easier to convert the lead, but it's more, you will most likely get people that are all over the place potentially. So
Mhm.
what you need is a very strict qualification process tied to your backend after they have like showed interest in whatever you're trying to sell. And that's where in content and like these different types of marketing strategies kind of
Mhm.
differ in my opinion, where how you're trying to do the qualification, basically the things you said, like do they have the money to spend? Do they have the problem you want to solve? All of this stuff, this qualification needs to be done, whatever marketing method you do. And that's who, if you spend your time on, you can get the highest return.
Mhm. That makes sense. And I know that qualification, that's something that we're building out for you guys right now too, because I know the qualification makes a big difference. It also does in paid ads. But the thing is, with organic, what
Mhm.
I've seen, organic is absolutely necessary for really building a big business.
Mhm.
So it's like with ads, like we have a lot of stuff that we focus on ads because it gets really fast results. You can scale up a business really quickly, but you hit certain bottlenecks, like let's say $1 million, right? You want to make your first million, you can do that with ads without having to build a brand. But if you really want to scale past that long term, building a brand, the sooner you start building brand, the more money you're going to make long term. And that's why I think like what you do with the organic stuff, it's super super important for building that long term brand. Because if you think of Amazon, if you think of Apple, if you think of any of these big companies or Google, like if no one knew who they were and they didn't build their brand, how many of them would really be as big as they are right now?
Yeah. I mean, one other big thing I realized is like when you do have a brand, it makes your life and your sales process significantly easier. Because let's say you send someone even like cold email or they see you in an ad, they're probably going to look you up.
Exactly.
When they look you up, they see your content, and then they get retargeted over and over with the new content you make. It's
Mhm.
like whatever content, let's say you take a year making content, it's all stored up like black powder. And once someone like hits the tripwire, they see an ad or something like that, boom, it explodes, and then this good potential lead will
Mhm.
be nurtured over time. So it
Yeah.
works as your kind of marketing team.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about organic a lot. It's like there's so much content out there. It's better when someone looks you up to have a ton of content than nothing. It's like this person doesn't even exist. It's way better to have a lot of content. I've seen it does make a huge difference too, and it's way easier to convert them for sure. Like we can run paid ads and we can teach someone how to convert and close really well, but they still need to practice. They need to be able to get that in, and we can still put a sales team in place. But it just makes it so much easier, even for the sales team, even for the business owner, if they have organic content in there too. And in addition, with all the organic content you have, if you have like a YouTube channel or something or different social medias, you can take all that content and use that for ads retargeting too. So it'll actually amplify what you're already doing on ads. So let's say if you're getting 3x, 6x return on ad spend, so every $1 you put in, you get $3 out or $6 out, right? Which $6 is like the minimum we usually get. So if you do $6 there, then when you have organic, you can essentially 10, 20, 30% more, or even double or triple that, depending on how much content you have, how relatable is it to audience. It makes a huge difference in converting, not just making it easier to convert, but also more data for the retargeting for the ads. And it amplifies what you're doing on the ad side by adding the organic side in there too. And it really builds that brand up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly what I thought. This is literally why most people in the industry are stuck. It's like they're celebrating 500 leads when like 490 of them are just not buying anything. So I'm going to show you some simple math that changed my entire business. So if you look at a low ticket product, right? So like a $27 product, how many sales do you think you'd need to make $1 million, your first $1 million in the business?
So $1 million. Well, how much is the ticket?
$27. And 27,
$27.
yeah.
How many leads you take?
Yeah. How many sales do you think it would take?
Oh, how many sales? I mean, this is a simple division, right?
Yeah, it's 37,000.
Yeah.
So 37,000 sales. Now imagine how many leads you would need to actually make $37,000, like 37,000 sales at a $27 product, just to make $1 million in sales.
I would say 10x the amount of sales you would need.
At least.
Yeah.
I would say at least that, yeah. So at least 370,000 leads at a minimum to be able to make that $1 million. Now that would cost a lot in ads and it would take a lot of time organic. Now, if you go on the other side and you sell a $10,000 program or $10,000 coaching consulting program agency offer, right? All you need is 100 clients. So with that, you would say, let's say 1,000 leads, 1,000 high quality leads. And you can easily convert that to $1 million in sales as long as you have the right front end and back end for both the organic and the paid side working together. You could do that very quickly. The organic will help you build that long-term growth, like for the entire business, the trust and everything around it. And then the ads can just amplify it to drastically get those sales much faster that you can reinvest into more organic, more ads, and scale the business up even faster. So if you think about it, you only need 10 clients at $10,000 each to make 100,000 in sales. And you need about 50 good leads, not thousands of random ones. So Samin, what happened in your business when you started focusing mainly on getting higher quality leads, just rather than just leads in the door?
Yeah, I guess that's when it kind of really actually took off, because higher quality leads, I personally got a lot of time back for myself. And that's when you can actually start scaling, because then you're not talking to random tire kickers all the time.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What about, yeah, you were saying?
No. Go ahead.
What about for other agencies and other clients that you've worked with? What do you think? Would you say it's the same thing for them, or what's like the biggest thing that they realize that makes the biggest impact related to leads?
In terms of the other agencies and my circle in general, you want a qualified lead, but the biggest thing you want is the trust of the lead. Because if you have the trust of the lead, then the lead will probably convert very simply, and it's a good qualified lead because you have that qualification process. Like, it makes your business significantly simpler when you have that entire bridge.
Mm-hmm. That completely makes sense, because then you have the trust aspect and you have the lead flow, and it's a high quality lead that already has that trust too. Like, they want the product, they have the trust, and they already know what you do, and they've known quite a bit about you because of all the other videos, the organic stuff they watched. And they might even be retargeted with more organic or more paid ads.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I mean, from what I've seen, most high ticket businesses, they have a quality problem, not a quantity problem. Sometimes they have both, but usually one or the other, and usually it's mainly a quality problem when they think it's a quantity problem. Like, I've seen a lot of consultants, they spend thousands of dollars getting like 500 leads a month, but they have zero or very, very few sales. While another coach is able to get 20 leads, sell 10 programs at $5,000 each, and that easily makes them 50K right there. So would you rather have 500 leads at $0 or 20 leads at 50,000, or 10 leads at $50,000?
I mean, of course, the one that makes me more money, right?
Yeah, because with I mean, I would say, I guess in that case, it would be 20 leads at $50,000 or 10 leads at 10,000. But a lot of people I've seen, they waste money on the wrong type of leads, and then they blame either the sales team, or they blame the offer, or they blame all these other things, when in reality, they're just not getting the right type of leads because they don't have any organic presence. They don't have anything to build that trust, build that audience in there. And then after that, in addition, they have either the wrong systems, or they don't have systems in place on the back end to keep those leads more engaged and to make sure they get booked right away, make sure they have everything built out in their system where it works like a smoothly oiled engine. It's more like you got the engine, you took some random parts out, and then you're hoping it works, from what I've seen in a lot of businesses too. So I guess in your case, what's the worst example you've seen of someone chasing the wrong leads? And then how were you able to help them change that and fix it within their business? And how were you able to apply AI to that as well?
So what we noticed is this is very common amongst AI agencies, because what'll happen is they'll find some new tool. If let's say they're a new one, they'll find some new tool. Let's say it's NNN or like, I don't know, something like VoiceFlow or VAPI or whatever. They'll take it and then they're like, oh, I can build you a voice agent that's a customer service. And then they'll try to service every different industry possible. But the thing is, they have no depth. Their knowledge of that will be this shallow. Whereas you need like an end-to-end solution, like a whole verticalized solution. So you're actually driving some ROI for business. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is where we have gotten the best results is when we can have the best verticalized niche. For ourselves, for example, I have this video coming out that's soon. It showed us how we kind of stumbled onto this, where how we were working with, first we got a client, and then we worked all the way down on, we tried to understand what their business is trying to do and get, and how we can apply AI to get that outcome. Which means, so I'll take the real estate example. So real estate wholesalers, essentially, they do 4 different things. They'll do cold calling, but we realize there's very easy gaps we can solve, where you can take that pool, and these cold callers are probably going to be called back sometimes, and they miss all these calls. So if you can just have an AI agent there that captures these, qualifies them, and puts it in the CRM, that is already more money saved for the company, because they're just not wasting time on that. And it can there's even a potential $10,000+ upside there. Little things like this, even like, let's say they're running ads and people fill up a web form. We can solve the speed to lead problem fast if we can have, like, let's say SMS agents texting them or calling them right as they opt in, to make sure they're qualified, do some further investigation of if they're the right fit, which makes it so that the meeting is booked or canceled if they're not the right fit. And you use your time on the qualified lead that you know how to solve the problem for, and they have the right budget and everything. So when you can use AI in this way to basically niche down, know what you're doing for someone, that you're having a bottom line, and then using these qualifying agents, so it's a better experience for everyone, that's where we've seen the biggest results.
That makes sense. I've seen similar stuff to what you're talking about as well. Like in our systems, we have the AI team member kind of thing that we set up. So with the AI team members, essentially we have the inbound where they're calling in, and then it's doing a full qualification just like an actual appointment setter would. It sounds just like a human. And in addition to sounding just like a human, you can't even tell it's not a human. In addition, it can actually objection handle better than, I would say, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 of all of the appointment setters that we've hired. And we've hired probably over 150 appointment setters at this point now. So like the AI can not only do it better, but it can do it consistently, and it's not emotional. It doesn't have all these other issues of, oh, I don't feel good today, I'm sick, I don't want to get up, I have to sleep, all these, human problems that humans have to deal with. So by putting the AI team members in place, it's able to handle, just like you were saying, all the inbound calls for all the coaches and consultants we help. In addition to that, it's able to qualify them, it's able to objection handle with them, it's able to actually keep a conversation going and figure out what their actual problem is, and then make sure they're a qualified lead before booking them in, find time and do all that, no matter what time of day it is, no matter what day it is in the year, no matter if it's a, holiday, not a holiday, night, day, anytime. Same thing goes for all the opt-ins. Anyone that opts in and gets the content or the systems or anything that we're giving them right after they opt in, our AI team members are able to call them and actually book a call with them. Just like you were saying, filling in those gaps that a lot of businesses essentially miss 9 out of 10 times. Like, speed to lead is super important. It's like if you don't call someone within the first minute, you've lost about Within the first 5 minutes, I believe it's 80%. Forgot the exact metric, but I believe it's 80% within the first 5 minutes. Within the first minute, I think it's already like 60% of the leads that you lost that would have normally booked a call that would have been qualified in there too. So it makes a huge difference, and it can completely change your business just from this one thing alone. And you don't get people that are wasting your time either, because the AI is taking care of all of it, and it costs less. So costs less, better results, and much more scalable. And everything you were talking about before, it's like there's no downside I see now with all the AI stuff coming in place, especially with like how your guys' systems work and integrate with everything else. It works really well, and it's really cool how that can integrate. So I'd say there's 3 main types of leads from what we've learned. There's curious people, there's researchers, and there's buyers. Now, there is still hot, cold, warm leads, all that kind of stuff. I'll go into that in a different video, but if we just break down the people that have some slight interest, curious people are like just browsing. They have no money or real problem whatsoever. Researchers, they have a problem, but they're more shopping around, not really ready to buy. And then buyers, they have a problem, they have money, and they want to solve it right now. So most consultants and coaches that we've seen, they fill the list with the first one, curious people. They don't fill their lists with researchers or even buyers, which is why they're not getting sales. It's like fishing in a swimming pool and wondering why you're not catching fish. I could go to my backyard, take out a fishing pole and put it in my swimming pool. I don't think I'm going to catch anything. And a lot of coaches and consultants, and I'm pretty sure you've seen the same thing in the agency space too. It's like they're wondering why they're not getting closed deals or more qualified leads and all that kind of stuff. But they're not even targeting the right audience. They're not even talking to the right audience in the first place. They're not talking to buyers. They're talking to like top of funnel or just curious people that really don't care that much about solving the problem. And until they get to that point where they need the problem solved, they're still not going to care. And therefore, it's a large majority of their time that they're spending is wasted because they're spending on the wrong type of audience. So how do you guys personally spot the difference between these types of buyers? And I guess focusing on the organic side specifically, how would you gear that more towards getting the buyers rather than curious people?
When you're doing organic, you will always get a mix of everyone, but it's kind of your job in organic that after they kind of show interest and go down your funnel, that you are doing what you can to qualify them further before they come in and waste your time.
Mm-hmm.
Because what will happen with organic, and this is kind of funny, is like you will just get random fans that just want to talk to you. But if you talk to them, all of them, you're never going to have time to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like be kind of ruthless in qualifying in the back end after they have funneled in and using your AI agents to figure out if they're the right person to even, spend your time on.
In the agency space, how can you take your content and make sure you're making content that's speaking directly to buyers rather than just curious people? How do you guys do that?
So if you want to direct it to buyers, you have to kind of understand what buyers want and orient your content around that and the ROI that they receive, right? So for example, let's say there's a new AI tool that comes out. I don't know. Manus was the hot topic a couple months ago, I think, or weeks ago, I forgot. But anyways, if I make a video just covering Manus, I won't get buyers at all. I would just get curious people that are interested in this new technology. Whereas if I frame the whole thing differently, where like I use Manus to get me more leads, for example, right? I would get people that are interested in getting more leads. It's like I'm trendjacking the new cool thing to an outcome that my potential audience or my niche would want for themselves. That attracts a lot of better buyers.
Yeah. We've noticed something very similar with ads too, actually. Like with all the paid content, email marketing, all the SMS marketing, all the backend stuff that we set up for all of our partners, we noticed something very similar there too. It's like with all of the content that's created, it has to be specifically to those buyers. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Because if it's too generic, no one's actually going to care about it in the first place. Either A, they're not going to open the email in the first place, or read the SMS in the first place. Or if they open it, they might open it because it's an interesting subject line or an interesting first line, but they're not really going to continue reading it because they get bored because they're like, oh, this is too generic. It doesn't apply to me. When in reality, if you focus only on the sales ready and only on the qualified leads people, the more qualified audience, then you're going to be able to turn those audience into actual sales because you are solving their exact problem and you're speaking to their exact problem too. So I'd say that kind of converts over from both organic and paid ads, because either way, it just comes down to marketing, right? It's like, how are you marketing it? How are you building it? And how are you showing that you can solve their actual issue? And then just taking that and then converting it into a much more scalable approach and having a system around it, similar to what you guys teach and similar to what we do, like what you guys do for organic, what we do with the paid stuff. Just taking that and just converting it into a scalable, consistent approach that only targets those people. I think from what we've seen, it does very, very well to be able to get way better quality leads at a way lower cost. But if we look at it, let's say on the paid ad side, right? Using Facebook as an example. So for a random Facebook lead, we can run an ad and get really low cost leads. They might be 10, 15 bucks. That's on the low end. Let's say 10 to 15 bucks, right? Because it's too generic. It's just going to get random leads. They're not going to care about actually solving the problem because they haven't really faced that problem yet. And therefore they don't care about it. They're just interested, just like we were talking about with the more generic, curious people in the other and all the other content, right? Then for a qualified lead, for a $5,000 offer, you might pay $100 to $150, right? Then for a sales ready lead, someone that's literally ready to buy right there, for a $10,000 offer, it could cost $300 or more. Now, the thing is, a lot of people think, oh, that's expensive for a lead. But it's like, if you can take $10,000 offer and sell that lead for $300, you just made $9,700 of profit. So it actually becomes more expensive by not having more qualified leads and just by getting mass leads that are not qualified in the first place, by being too generic and too open with your content and not being specific enough on their exact specific problems that they're solving.
Yeah, that's a good insight.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people, they freak out about lead costs. They're like, oh my God, my lead cost is like 50 bucks or 100 bucks. Well, okay, now on Facebook, anywhere from 10 to 50 bucks is kind of normal for lead costs, even for random leads. But when you have a really targeted ad, I see some people, they see lead costs $150 or $300. They're freaking out. And then they realize they get a few sales and they're like, oh, this is actually, the lead cost is still expensive. Why is it expensive? But I'm getting sales. Like, it doesn't matter what the lead cost is as long as you can convert your high ticket offer. And the more qualified the leads are, you should expect them to be more expensive because you are targeting a subset of a larger audience and you're only talking to them. So obviously it's going to be more expensive to show those people. Less people are going to see it, but the people that do see it are going to be much more serious and way easier to close. So if you have a lead, a $300 lead that converts to a $10,000 sale, even 20% of the time, each lead therefore would cost per each time, it's a $2,000 value. So each lead is actually worth about $2,000 there. So you can pay up to that amount and you're still going to be breaking even or even making a slight profit there. But obviously we wouldn't want to pay $2,000 for a lead, but in a hypothetical scenario, you could pay up to that amount. Now,
I mean, yeah.
Well,
unless you're selling like a private jet or something, it depends.
Yeah. Well, I was saying for specifically a $10,000 offer. If it's $15,000, then you can higher the price. Like for our leads, we can pay significantly more because our lowest ticket offer is around $10,000. Our highest ticket offer is around $100,000. And we have everything in between depending on what the person's needs are, and we fully customize it. So obviously, we as a company in Upgrade Profits, we can pay a lot more for the lead. We don't usually recommend it, and obviously we want to pay less for converting the lead, but we are able to, and that's how we can outspend our competitors, and that's how we can do better than other people in the industry because we just have more money to be able to invest in it because we know the ROI on those leads. And I think the same thing goes for like organic side too. Obviously, it's a different calculation from what you guys would see on your end, but How would you say that applies to organic specifically, content creation and all that kind of stuff?
So in terms of organic, it's kind of a little different than what you're trying to do in terms of ads, because organic is you trying to kind of use it as kind of like a lead nurture tool. And it's a little worse at doing top of funnel, but it is what's best that is going to kind of make sure, like, okay, there's this thing, big study by Google, and it's called the 7-11-4 rule.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, the 7-11-4 rule is basically, if you want someone to convert into a customer, you probably need 7 touch points with someone, and then they want to watch like 11 hours of your content over 4 different mediums.
Yeah.
I may have flipped those numbers around. I'm not really sure.
Right. I remember that too.
Yeah. But imagine that. If someone needs to watch 11 hours of your content to become a high-ticket subscriber or high-ticket customer, then you're not going to get that by doing shorts or ads. Right. Those can be one of them, but after they've fallen into your funnel, you need to kind of nurture them a lot. So that's why organic kind of, you're building this over time, and you're collecting and making a whole arsenal of content that, let's say someone sees your ad, looks you up. Now YouTube or YouTube will know, for example, that, hey, this person is interested in that. So all of your content that you've spent, let's say, months and months or years even developing, will be served to this person. And if the content is good and optimized correctly to actually sell them, you will be significantly more successful.
That completely makes sense. Now, if we think of it from a slightly different angle, I think we would be able to calculate it in the cost per lead. And the way I think you would be able to do that, if you take the cost of how much does it cost to make a video, like for example, scripting the video, doing the description, editing the video, recording the video, all that, right? What's that total cost per video? And then I think for you, it'd be a longer time horizon though, because obviously organic takes time to build up, right? So I think long-term, you would be able to calculate that. It would just take a longer period of time to calculate the cost per lead in there. And I think in reality, cost per lead would be way lower cost than ads. It's just, I think cost per lead would be way lower cost than ads would long-term, and it builds more trust, but it's not as scalable short-term. Yeah. It's more long-term play.
Yes. Yeah. Content, personal branding, all of that is 100% a long-term play.
And from what I've seen, like I've done both in all of my companies. I've seen doing organic as soon as you can, if from the start if possible, but as soon as you can, and then just building on top of it long-term, it makes such a big difference in the business. And then adding ads in on that just amplifies it. So you can like start building your personal brand now, build it up for like 6 months to a year. And then from there, you can take ads from the first month and launch your offer or launch an improved offer, and then just scale up the ads. And then from the ads, you can just drive people to your organic, which is actually what we started doing in some of our email marketing content. So like email marketing content's one medium channel, one channel that they would be hearing from us. SMS would be another, call would be another, email would be another. Did I say email? Email, SMS, call. Yeah, I said that twice. So email, SMS, call, and then there would be YouTube. And then there would be, let's see, your LinkedIn and Twitter. That's already 6 right there. So the more mediums you have, and you only need 4 mediums, but you need a lot of different touch points. So let's say 2 YouTube videos, 2 emails, 2 SMS, that's 6 right there. And then 1 call, you got 7, you got yourself a close. You just have to have a few hours in between there of actual content and interest with you. I think that's a very accurate calculation from what Google did too, because we've seen the exact same thing. And that, yes, there is people that buy right from an ad, but the whole point of us running retargeting ads is to get them more content. Because in ads, that's how we generally do it. We say, hey, here's the first first ad we're going to run, people know us, then we're going to retarget all the people that saw those ads up to a certain point to show that they're more qualified. And then taking those and then just adding more and more retargeting on top of it, eventually they'll get to those touch points and everything necessary where they show more interest, and then they're able to close easier. But you're able to do that already right off the bat if you have organic stuff in place. So I think that's a big part that a lot of people miss, because they think, oh, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not this or that. It's like, the reality is, it doesn't matter if you're a YouTuber or whatever or not. You don't need to be good at video. You just need to record stuff about what you do and show you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you're either doing it once through a video by to educate the client, or you're doing it one-on-one to multiple people over several sales calls.
Every single time.
Every single time, yeah.
So either way, you have to do it regardless.
Yeah.
So why not just do the more efficient way?
Exactly.
Okay, so going into the 5 criteria for valuable high-ticket leads. They know their problem, and it hurts them daily. It's something that's very noticeable daily. They know what fixing it is worth in actual dollars, like how much is it costing them. They have money set aside to fix it, or they can get money to fix it. They want to fix it now, not someday in the future, like in a century or two from now, when it starts actually causing the problem. They already see the problem. They either want to avoid it or they already want to solve it. And they can say yes without asking their grandmother, their dog, their donkey, their all these other people. All of those things, the 5 things, and obviously they're the right audience, are the main things that I've seen that actually make a lead valuable. Then after that, qualifying them further with qualification process drastically improves the ability to be able to convert that lead. Adding in the organic side would drastically improve that and speed it up too, because it gets them to that through that process faster, and it gets them to those touch points that Google analyze and calculate as well faster. And I've seen most struggling businesses, especially coaching, consulting, and I'm pretty sure you've seen the same thing with agencies, they're missing at least 3 or 4 of these things in their leads, and that's why they're not really able to close those deals. They're not able to make enough sales, and they're not able to scale up, and therefore they can't fix it with just better sales calls or just better offers. They have to fix it at the level of where the leads are coming from and who they're talking to and how they're targeting them. What out of those, what would you say is like the most common thing that's missing in the criteria, in those criteria?
Well, I wouldn't say it's one thing, because I think of the sales process and the marketing as kind of like a chain. And a chain has like, a lot of different links in it. But if one chain breaks, the whole process kind of breaks. So in the same way, there's so many different criteria and steps that needs to be done. If you don't have a system that follows it, that there is always things that are falling through the cracks, or you can't scale.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like we've seen the same thing so many times over and over again with coaching, both coaching and consulting businesses. And then people think it's something else, but they don't realize in reality it's more simple than they actually think. Even though it's simple, it doesn't mean it's easy. It's just a simple solution because you have to know what to do and then you just have to implement it. But it still takes work and everything to implement it. That's why if you have a system to do that for you, it makes it way easier and makes it way faster too.
Yeah.
So if you want to be able to get leads that actually buy, what I would say is, first, make sure to be super, super specific in your targeting. Second, show like real results, like case studies, pictures of the results that you've actually gotten for people, videos, all that kind of stuff. Name your price early. So don't be scared to say, oh, this is like our price is within this range or about this much. Or if it's customized, you can tell them it's customized and give them a range. That's generally what we do. And asking tough questions before the call to make sure they're actually qualified, and then giving your best stuff to filter the serious buyer. So you give your best stuff that's more specific and has a very clear outcome for those people that are already facing those issues, so it can solve those problems for them. And then they'll be able to say, oh, wow, this person's actually able to help me, actually able to solve my problem. Okay, maybe they can help me more. Then they get on a call and they already have the need and everything built out there. And with all of this stuff being in place, they're able to just close and make more sales and make it way more scalable. None of this requires to have like complicated tech or fancy funnels, as long as you have the right systems in place and you have the core principles in place to be able to ensure that you're getting the right leads, they're qualified, and they're serious on the call, as well as they know you can solve their problem. Being like brutally clear about who you want to work with and honest about who you can and can't work with and why, like what problem you're going to solve. So taking those into account, I guess, which strategy has worked best for you guys scaling your agency, as well as the people you guys have helped?
For us, when we're scaling, honestly, initially we didn't really even have a target. But once we did have a target and know the processes we have to do for that person and what we can exactly offer them, that's when we started scaling a lot faster, just because we had exact specifics to discuss with the person. And when we can show, and then do that a couple times, we can show actual results, which meant each sale became easier as we went. And while we were going, we create more content about these case studies, we get more testimonials, and everything just scales bit by bit in that way.
That makes sense. And then it becomes more and more scalable, more and more consistent and everything too.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would you say the biggest change was, or the biggest improvement was, since like when you started adding and tweaking stuff in your offer or in your business overall? What made the biggest difference in the largest amount of sales you had at one point?
I would honestly say it has to be like qualifying and niching down. Before, we weren't really that niche down. We were niche down in terms of technology and process, but we weren't niche down in terms of avatar and outcome. So when we niche down in terms of avatar and outcome, that's when we saw the biggest growth, because we could basically relay the pain point that they are possibly having and what we can do with our tech to solve their problem.
Yeah, that makes sense, because then you're way more clear on how you're actually solving that specific problem.
Exactly.
That's awesome. What about for like your clients? What have you noticed the most?
Notice in terms of
like what thing have you helped them solve that made the biggest impact in their business?
It's the same thing as we did. It's qualifying. So, and that's why the platform we have and then what we're building is mainly does. It helps you drill down onto who you need to talk to. It qualifies them and then makes sure you're not spending your time on useless stuff. And all of that can be done with AI.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's surprising how much you can do with AI now. Like I did not think for much. I thought it would take much longer to get to this point, but the amount that you can do with AI now is amazing, and the amount of how well the AI does that, how consistently it does it, and how much better it is than humans were before at it is astonishing. How quickly it's advanced in a very short period of time, especially over the last 6 months. It's like easily, I'd say, a night and day difference, because more than anything, just the consistency. It's like you can teach it something, and then it'll never forget, and it'll do it every single time the right way. So one of the mindset shifts that changes everything for a lot of the partners we work with, I'd say they stop trying to reach for everyone, and they focus only on the perfect people. So there might be only 1,000 perfect people in the world for them, but if there's only 1,000, then how much can they charge per client? 100,000, 500,000? Like, you can really start charging more the more niche down you go. But the problem is, you want to make sure I have a wide enough audience that it's easy enough for you to find this audience where you can build a real business on it and make it scalable. So I guess not by getting in front of millions of people, but those specific sub niche that you're helping, the specific audience you're helping with the specific problems you're solving, would make the biggest impact. So if you take the math on that, 10% of 1,000 people, that's 100 clients, right? At $10,000, that's $1 million, $1 million business. Let's say it's 1,000 perfect people per month, right? and you're just converting 10% of those, which is very low, especially if you have all the right systems and everything in place. But you can easily have $1 million business in there just by targeting those 1,000 people in the right way, by saying the right stuff and by solving their exact specific problem. What type of lead did you change from before to what type of lead do you target now in comparison over, let's say, the last three months for you?
I guess, yeah, initially when we started, we were like pretty broad because we were like, okay, anyone that needs a voice agent or something like that, that needs follow-ups. We weren't really sure who at that point. So we were just targeting a broad kind of base. But now we kind of have really narrowed down into who we kind of can serve. We realized what our strengths are is that we know how to create organic content that sells and who needs it. So basically we run an agency. We use this exact model to scale. And then if you have AI in the back doing all the qualification and helping you with sales, it becomes very easy to essentially scale your operations so that your agency is exploding.
That makes sense. What about like one thing you wish you knew about leads when you were starting your business? So I think it's been about a year, a little bit over a year now for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wish what I knew was that quality matters more than quantity. Yeah, and that's kind of like, in a nutshell, that's like the biggest hurdle that most people have to get across. Like the YouTube subscribers or some, your followers is just a vanity metric.
Yeah, it really is. It honestly does not make a huge difference. Like, it's good for social proof, but that's pretty much it. It doesn't directly convert to sales in any way, shape, or form in reality. It's just good for additional social proof on top of everything else you have. Otherwise, it's pretty useless. It's cool to say you have 20,000 subscribers, but it's like if you're at 20,000, 30,000, even 200,000. But if you're not able to target the right audience, it's useless without it. So having as large of an audience as you can that are the right audience is more important than just having a big audience. Like one perfect lead is worth more than like 100 random leads that don't give a shit about your offer or don't care about your product or what you're solving. That one lead can make up for way more than those 100 random ones and make you a lot more money. Consultants, usually the ones that make the most money, they don't have huge lists. They have decent sized lists, but those decent sized lists are much more qualified than the other people in the industry that are not making that are having less qualified leads in their audience. So it's like if we have a 3-part action plan, I'd say stop chasing cheap leads, start focusing on the quality leads, and get it in front of the right people to make sure to build that audience that are actually going to convert into the is actually going to convert into the right audience that are going to make you sales and be able to scale your business. I'm also going to put right under this video, I'm going to put in the description box a little link that anyone can click on if they want to learn more about Samin or learn more about us or get access to a full step-by-step system to make sure you get the most qualified leads and make sure they're showing up. Is there anything else you want to say, Samin, or anything else you want to give to the audience as well?
I think that was really good. Thanks for the talk. I think if you guys need any help, reach out below. Happy to help. Let me know. Put in the comments if you have any questions. And yeah, thanks.
Awesome. I'll put your link to your site as well underneath in the description.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Success or excuses? It's your choice.